Welcome back to Medical Monday. I'm here with Amanda Arnold, a registered dietitian. We are talking nutrition, but we're trying not to be so ho-hum about it. I always look at it as the more you know, the better you can do,
Absolutely,
right?
100%.
Yeah. And we all want our bodies to feel good and to function at the highest quality, I do believe. Let's go right to the lines. Joan is on the line. Good evening, Joan.
Yes, good evening. I was wondering, and I can't seem to find out from anyone, is stevia the same as sugar? Is there any advantage to using stevia over sugar? Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Great question. So stevia is what's known as a sugar substitute. It's actually produced from the stevia plant, and they take their leaves, grind them up, and it's actually a very natural sugar substitute. So stevia is not the same as sugar. Stevia is calorie-free, carbohydrate-free, sugar-free. So stevia is actually a great substitute to use in place of sugar. You get a lot of the same sweet taste for none of the crazy calories or effects of sugar. So if you're using stevia in your baked goods for the holidays, just mind the recipe conversions because a lot of the sugar sweeteners are 100 times sweeter than sugar. So teaspoon for teaspoon, your stevia, any of your other sugar substitutes are going to be a lot sweeter, so you're not going to need as much of the sugar substitute in a recipe. A lot of times on the back of the bags, they'll have the equivalents there for you.
And we were talking about sugar substitutes during the break. It's a question that I personally had was if you're not crazy about sugar and it's not really a problem for you, because sugar can be very addictive.
Absolutely.
I mean, it absolutely is. But if you're not a big sugar person, it is okay to still opt for the sugar,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, it's a natural substance.
It is, 100%. And that's the thing, too, is you have to keep in mind everything in moderation, right? So I was saying, you know, if I want to make cookies, I don't have cookies at my house a lot, but when I make them, you know what? I'm going to use real sugar because I like the taste of it. Now, if I had, you know, boxes of cookies in my pantry,
they were your go-to snack.
Of course, that's another deal. I may want to consider a sugar-free cookie at that point. But, you know, sugar gets this bad rap for being, you know, evil, and of course anything in excess can turn into a bad thing. Alcohol, water, you know, if you're on a blood thinner, vitamin K, anything in excess can be too bad. So that's why it's, you know, just everything in moderation, including your sugar foods.
And sometimes when it comes to that, you really do have to do your own gut check and be like, okay, I've been way out of control with my sugar lately, which is easy to do around the holidays.
100%.
Or, you know, I'm pretty good. I'm going to have this regular cookie.
Absolutely.
You mentioned alcohol.
Yes.
And that can undo a lot of people, not just because of the drunkenness, but because of what it does
so quickly
in your body.
So quickly. And so that's actually a great point that you bring up. So alcohol, much like your sodas, do have what are called empty calories. Per gram of alcohol, there's 7 calories. So you imagine an alcoholic beverage, say, you know, a cocktail, having 10 grams of alcohol in it, plus the soda or juice you use to mix in it. I mean, you're looking anywhere upwards of 70 calories from just the alcohol. Now, that doesn't seem like much if you're just having a drink, but who just has one drink around the holidays, right? And so alcohol too, you know, obviously we want to keep it in moderation and of course keep it legal. But with alcohol too, there's no, when I mentioned the empty calorie, there's no nutritional benefit to alcohol. You're not getting fiber, vitamins, minerals, and we do, where we get our calories from, things like our alcohol, our carbohydrates, our fats, and our proteins. Your vitamins and minerals, your fiber, your other nutrients don't contribute to calories. But alcohol is definitely one of those things, especially if we're mixing drinks or, you know, enjoying a beer or a couple glasses of wine. It's easy, especially around friends and the holiday season, to get carried away. And
any tips or tricks to not get carried away when it comes to your going to the parties and that sort of thing?
Absolutely. Choose, a lot of times a white wine will have a little bit less calories than a red wine. Look for a lighter beer. I know around the holidays, the porters, the stouts, the heavier beers can be more enjoyable, but they do tend to be a bit higher calorie. If you are doing mixed drinks, choose a seltzer water or sparkling water, or choose a drink that maybe isn't mixed with juice. And if they have a sugar-free juice at the bar, even better. Having the bartender mull the fruits in the jar instead of adding the orange juice. That way you at least get the pulp and you get some of the fiber from it as well. And
I've always heard the tip of, you know, you have your drink, you have a glass of water.
Absolutely.
You have your drink, you have your glass of water.
Absolutely. And my husband and I actually talk about this a lot because, you know, as you drink, you do get dehydrated. And it's, you know, alcohol clouds the judgment. And so if you're getting dehydrated quicker, you tend to wake up the next morning with a hangover. But if you're slowing down, using that water trick again, just like you do with your food, if you use it as something to drink in between, it helps you slow down. And a lot of times too, when we measure, you know, we can talk about how quickly alcohol affects me, but you want to make sure it's a drink per hour, and that's a 4-ounce shot. It's a 4-ounce glass of wine, a 12-ounce beer, or, you know, an 8-ounce mixed cocktail.
Sure.
So keeping that in mind, that, you know, recommended that it's 1 drink per women, and about, depending on, you know, height and weight, stuff like that.
And I find that planning these things out and really thinking them beforehand can be the biggest difference. How do you counsel your patients on just planning meals from day to day or week to week? What are the tips and tricks to make that more doable?
A lot of times too, it does come with a little bit of effort from yourself to plan, to think in ahead. A lot of times too, we talk about the grocery store, right? You go into the grocery store, you're starving. First thing you go for is the donuts or the chips. One of the tips I give my patients is first thing, with the grocery store is where it starts, because that's where you're going to buy your groceries for the week. So a lot of times patients are in a budget. So I tell them, shop the coupon clipper, shop the sales. Don't make your list based on what your family wants, what you have a craving for. Make your list off of what's on sale at the store. That way, you know, you're going to save money. 2, you're going in with a plan. Okay, I'm going to the poultry, I'm going to the canned goods. Another thing is too, don't go hungry. Don't go to the store hungry.
That's terrible.
Like, that's just setting yourself up for failure. A lot of times too, you'll hear a lot of dietitians talk about shopping the exterior.
Yes.
A lot of times that's going to be your produce section, your meat section. You're going to find a lot of your dairy on the outside and your frozen items. Where now I will add the canned goods section into that, because that is a cheap source of vegetables, and nutritionally, fresh, frozen, or canned, you're still getting a good boost of nutrition and vitamins and minerals. And so the biggest thing I tell patients is to, you know, have 1 or 2 meals planned, and then go shopping for those. Don't go to the store hungry, and just have a plan for the week.
Yeah. Let's jump to Emma, see if we can squeeze in this phone call. Emma, thank you for being part of the show. What's your question?
Yes, I just wanted to have her opinion on using agave as a sweetener, like in my coffee.
Okay. Thank you, Emma. Let's see if we can get that answered.
Great question. So when we talk about using natural substitutes like agave, natural honey, you know, it's not sugar. It's not the white granulated sugar. It's still, even though it's natural or organic, it still contributes calories. So it's 100% okay to use in your coffee. Just be mindful of how much you're using. A lot of times with honey, agave, the liquid sweeteners, I direct patients to the food label. The food label is your best friend when it comes to knowing how much and what's in the food you're eating. So a lot of times with honey, agave, it's about a tablespoon for a serving. So as long as you're not sitting there, you know, with the bottle over it, I think it's I mean, just like what you said earlier, if I'm going to have a cookie, I'm going to use real sugar. So if that is something that you enjoy using in your coffee, again, everything in moderation.
Measurements can really be eye-opening. Like, I am crazy about peanut butter. Sometimes I'll just go get a spoonful of peanut butter because I'm like, oh, I'm a little hungry. That's my snack.
Absolutely.
But that spoonful kept getting bigger and bigger, and then I was like, it says 1 tablespoon is this much, you know, this much protein, this much fat. And I got a tablespoon. I'm like, well, I've been doing a lot more than a tablespoon.
Absolutely. It is eye-opening when you look. That's one of the biggest surprises I have with patients is when we talk, oh, I love peanut butter. Love peanut butter. But peanut butter, a lot of times too, if you look underneath the nutrition label at the ingredients, that's going to be another eye-opener too, because a lot of times in peanut butter, you'll see the order in which it lists ingredients is the order, or is the amount. So peanut butter, you would expect peanuts to be first. Next, you might expect oil, but in a lot of peanut butters, it's sugar. And so they're adding that sweetness in there. And so that's something too I tell a lot of my patients, just to help them be better consumers of the products that they're buying. But with the tablespoon of peanut butter, I mean, I hold my thumb out like this and I say, that's a tablespoon. That's what you get. And they're like, oh, I'm doing way more than that.
Way more.
Exactly.
Yeah, I am so guilty of that, but I got no way of doing.
I know.
We're going to take another quick break. More after we come back. Stay with us.